And welcome back, footy fans, to another episode of Donnie's Disposals. I'm your host, Coach Donnie Hess here, back with another AFL round review. Ladies and gentlemen, we are finally through this first set of buys. I know we're not all the way through the buys because we have buys halfway through the year, but we are through the fun early parts of the buys. And joining me today from lovely Brazil, we have Paulo. Paulo, it is great to see you again, sir. How are things down in Brazil? And I cannot wait to sit here and talk footy with you.
Oh, it's a pleasure to be here again. It's a great show. I love it. I know it's a niche because it's a niche here too, right? There aren't that many people that I can share the passion for the Australian game, but the great thing about being in this age is that we can share things and find people from around the world, right?
Mhm.
That we wouldn't be able to do in any other time in human history. So let's do that then.
Cannot wait. As per usual, love my international footy friends and talking footy. So let's hop right into it. Round four has come. It has gone. Some fun, interesting, and fascinating results. A few shockers. So cannot wait to do this. So as a whole, sir, your thoughts on this fun round four that we were just given?
I I thought it was a really interesting round. I can say from my tips, I just missed one game, but the game that everybody got wrong. Um, right. So I don't think that there were that many surprises. Maybe the way the games were played, it was how the results were happened. Maybe there were surprises, but surprising. But I think that overall it was the surprisingly without many surprises. I was expecting more results that hard to understand
Mhm.
than we had.
Yeah, it was definitely one of those. There were a few results I will say went the way I thought they would, and then a few results that didn't, and a few results that I thought would go a certain way that were not the ending result that I shall I say. So this was a fun one, whether it was a couple of the blowouts, even one I was not expecting at all. In fact, anybody that goes back and listens to my podcast will know there's one I was terrified over, and anybody that knows me knows which one that was. And then just a few that just I just did not see a close game out of that were close games. So I cannot wait. So let's not waste any more time. Let's jump right into it. The Thursday night of Easter weekend sees the Brisbane Lions put a whooping on the Collingwood Magpies 119-65. But I think the one part that everybody's talking about is the fact that Nick Dacos was a late scratch like half an hour before ball up, and I don't know if it took the air out of this Collingwood side or what. I know that they've been facing some injuries. I know Darcy Moore wasn't in, but the Brisbane Lions, I mean, put on a clinic on this Pies team, and it really wasn't much of a game, probably after about quarter time.
Um, I was expecting more out of this game in particular. I thought it would be closer than it was. I know that Brisbane can be a really good team, but they were struggling in the beginning of the season, and I thought that you know um, Collingwood would have a shot. But then again, the Pies have been one of the most inconsistent teams this
Mhm.
at the beginning of the season. So they got there in a down day, and the Lions wanted to. I think they lost in round. No, they won in round three against St Kilda. So maybe they are warming up. In and the game went in a way that uh, I expected the Lions to win, but not the way they won.
Mhm. Yeah, the GABA is always one of those that I know Collingwood travels well, but I was pretty sure that Brisbane was going to win that one. Was I expecting a 54-point thrashing? Absolutely not. Again, this is a solid Pies team that usually travel well. They usually play pretty well on the road. So was not seeing that result at all, but 100% with you. Like I just Brisbane were just far, far too clinical. But let's move to Friday night where we see an absolute worldy of a game as the North Melbourne Kangaroos get a 10-point win over the Blues 96-86. But another fourth quarter Blues fade has a lot of people talking. How much longer does Coach Voss have at the top? And I have to say, an impressive win by the calling by North, and so happy for the North faithful. Maybe some success coming to Ruse Nation. So had to give a shout out to some of my well-known Ruse fans because man, it was great to see this Kangaroo side step up in a tight game and get a big win for them.
Yeah, the uh, I have a friend that is a, a blues fan and a Brazilian, and I joke that there's a reason why blues in English means sadness, right? Uh, yeah, and I think that there's something to do with Carlton. It's um, it's not that Carlton is playing badly. It was the game was really good, right? And it seemed that Carlton would take so it was very equal in the first half, and then in the beginning of the second half, Carlton took control of the game and thought, okay, maybe this is it, right? And it wasn't. I don't know. Maybe it's there seem to be some physical issues with Carlton, right? The game is you gotta play 80 minutes, right? You
Hmm.
cannot play 60 and think that it's enough, right? If you don't play the 80 minutes, it's going to happen what happened in the game, right? Because they had an advantage. Okay, it wasn't good, but it was what 3 goals going to at 3/4 time, um, maybe three and a bit more, and suddenly they couldn't play anymore, right?
Hmm.
And they and by the end it was only North playing, and the difference will start to go down, and they came back and got the points, right? It was you could say, looking from the Blues perspective, that we got tired and we couldn't play. But there's the from North perspective, it's kind of they were resilient, right? They didn't want to lose the game, and they fought and fought until they were able to come back. So that there's a belief in North that it wasn't there before, and that's a huge change, and it will have saying in close games like this one, right? The team that believes more will have this advantage late in the game because they this confidence is capable to bring for a 12 points that wouldn't be there, in other way. We saw that with Collingwood a few seasons ago, right? They would won every single, although they were supposed to be a coin toss, right? They would win again and again and again and again because they start winning, and then if the game is close, right? This is our game, and yeah, and the opposition would say, "Come on, a close game against Collingwood." They always win those, and it started to happen, and maybe it's going to start to happen to North too.
Yeah, I really, really hope so because they've been through so much. That fan base has went through a lot. I will say this though, Carlton has done just as has went through as many struggles as well, but they did have that little bit of teaser with that getting to the preliminary finals recently. But man, it was great to see what North has done. Like you're starting to see some cohesion, and then I know there was a little bit of drama with the vision of Clarko getting on McKercher, but from what I found, from what I heard that they discussed it with they actually interviewed Colby, and Colby said, I knew it was coming. I had no problem with what he did. It didn't upset me or anything like that. In fact, it actually motivated me because I knew I had made a mistake. So like I think Clarko is starting to catch with this group, and you're starting to see the additions of the experience in Jack Darling and Luke Parker are starting to kind of click with this group. You're starting to see if Wardlaw can stay healthy, that you've got that engine room guy. You've got guys like Jai Simpkin and Harry Sheezel who are super talented and go well. You got Zane Dersma playing really, really well in this game. So North has got the pieces now. Can they put together 4, 5, 6 wins in a row? Kind of get some momentum behind themselves. Their schedule gets tougher. The fixture gets tougher. Can they step up to that fixture difficulty and win a few games? They're going to drop a few games here or there because of the youth that's on this side. But I will tell you this, the pieces are there. It's will they click? And when they do click, watch out. This North team has got a ton of talent. They're going to be fun to watch. And with Blue Bagger Nation, I have no idea what's going to happen. These fades are, you can tell these fades are starting to wear on this fan base. How much longer Voss has at the top of this thing is going to be interesting. It is going to be a watch every week. And I just don't know how the story is going to play out. It's going to be one of those huge watches the rest of the season when it comes to how long does Voss stay? Can he get through the season, or will eventually they cut ties? It'll be fascinating to see. Let's go to Adelaide. Let's go to the Adelaide Oval where we have a cracking game as the Fremantle Dockers go into the Adelaide Oval and get a 2-point win, beating the Crows 78-76. One of the games of the round. This was just such a great game of football. You feel a little bit for Adelaide because they just can't catch a trick at all. And this is another one, undermanned, just fall a little bit short, can't win it. But I got to give this Dockers the grit and determination, the Superman smother by Alex Pierce to save the game and to get the win. Huge for this Dockers side because this is a Dockers side. There's a lot of people that are really, really bullish on this Dockers side. They get a win on the road against what I think will eventually be a finals team once they get healthy and get a little bit more consistency. This is a good Crows team. They're undermanned and they're just falling short. They're going to be scary when they get healthy, but huge win for the Dockers for me.
Uh, I saw a post on Twitter that the Crows are the first team to ever to be losing in the third quarter, come back in the fourth quarter, and lose the game three times in a row. It's ridiculous. The Crows fans are watching the same game again and again and again and again. It's like the Groundhog Day movie, right? It's kind of
Hmm.
they are stuck in this loop that they see the team struggling at the beginning, then going down, and then making a huge effort to come back, take the lead, just to release it in the end and losing. It's a, it's amazing. And you can say that in each game is uh, you see it's the same story, but the ingredients are different. But then again, it doesn't matter. It end up with the same script again. I have no idea why, but it's probably taking a toll on the on not only on the fans but on the players again. The matter of confidence and the I don't remember the previous games, but this one they had the chance to win like two, three, four times in the last minute, and they failed every single one of them. A friend of mine joked that he wanted to buy a beer to the goalpost. Because it was Rochelle, I think. He missed like for 15 meters, like well, 20 yards from the goal, and he managed to hit the post. Right, it was amazing. Right, I left my ass off, but that's because I was rooting to barricade the trail, like they also say, as if I was born in Fremantle. But it was I think that even for neutrals, it was a fantastic game from start to finish.
Yep, yep, 100% on that. Let's move to the Saturday slate where I think the one thing we can say is one team good, one team bad with both of these games. We'll start off with the one that I know will bring a smile to Paolo's face as his beloved Port Adelaide Power get an impressive 42-point win at the MCG, 90-48, sir. Wax lyrical on your Port Adelaide Power because they took it up to an undermanned, injury riddled Richmond team, and they didn't hold back as they put a whooping on them by 42, 90-48.
Yeah, that's what doesn't make it impressive at all, right? We did what we're supposed to do. The great thing about it is that we were able to do what we were supposed to do, which was a great question before the game, right? And when we started scoring behinds after behinds and after behinds after behinds, I thought, this game is we won't win this. The Richmond will get the ball, score 2, 3 goals, and we're gonna have like this 4-0, 1-9 kind of games, and then we're going to lose because of that. But ultimately, it didn't happen. We we found the goals before they did, and there was a moment in the game that they could come back late in third quarter, and but they couldn't find a goal to save their lives, and we survived that, and then we took control of the game again, and then we got the blowout, right? Because it it, it wasn't up to that point, the game was still up for grabs, and Richmond wasted their opportunities, and then we didn't, and we won. So it was kind of a game. Let's be honest, against two bad teams playing against each other, so the quality wasn't there. But those games can still be entertaining for a neutral. At least because it makes the game unpredictable, and it was really it could spark the game either way, right? A team could spark at any time and do stuff like just before the half. The Richmond scored three goals to make that a game, which wasn't supposed to happen, and then in the end of but as I said, in the end of the third quarter, they took control of the game again, but then couldn't score. So the game was about to get complicated a few times, but Port ended up, getting it shit together and end up, oh, at least winning, which brings some peace. So Core can work on the team without many uh pressure about the schedule won't be any easy from now on, but at least we can get a this less heat under him now to work for
Mhm.
the next few rounds at least.
Yeah, definitely for sure. So let's head over. We'll head out west to Optus Stadium where I will be honest with you, Paulo. I did not see this result coming. As people that listen to the podcast for me know, this game terrified me because this was a West Coast team that was playing much better football, had looked really good in its previous two games, had two wins. There was a super amount of confidence. Did not see a 128 point thrashing as the Swans get a 163 to 35 win. As much as I love my Swans, I did not see this coming. I knew the Swans had firepower. I knew the Swans needed this game to kind of bounce back after a tough loss just before their bye period against the Hawks. But I just did not see this coming. And the signs were there early when the first two center bounces both resulted in goals for Sydney in less than a minute and a half, and it was already a two-goal lead. And it was literally how the rest of the game would go. West Coast just could not stop Sydney. Sydney, every time they got the football, if they got one handball out and got into space, it was over. And if I'm the competition, I'm a little terrified that this Swans team can, like that, put up points. And the scary part is, again, Errol Goulden is not in the side and they're playing this well. It's a scary thought process for the rest of the competition that this team could do it. Again, is this another Charlie Curnow flat track bully, kick four goals against a lower side? Maybe. We'll have to see. But some positive sides and a huge shout out to Tommy Papley getting his 200th game, getting a win, seeing him play well too. But I'll be honest, as a Swans fan, I did not see this result coming the way it did, the way it happened.
I I didn't expect after watching the Eagles port game. Oh, the Eagles are better than I expected, but maybe they aren't as good as at least consistently good as I expected, right? Still a young side and with and they were losing a lot recently, so even if they improve, it's not expected to for them to go all the way. Um, but in I know I would love to say that you see the Swans were coming from the bye and they had this advantage. Some people said that, but I'm one that believe that this kind of advantage it appears in the end of a game, not at the beginning.
Mhm.
There was, at the beginning, the conditions were pretty much the same. If there was this close game, and then late in the second half or the third quarter, the Swans started to get better and dominating from that point on. I could point out, oh, see, the bye did that, but they started and simply, you know, the Eagles. There was only one team playing,
Mhm.
right? Not the other one. And when you get that, and I think that the Eagles simply said, okay, this is our bye, and we're not going to play. And this one's okay. Let's improve our percentage, and kept scoring again and again and again and again, and we got this blowout. Right. That's I think that uh, I don't think that the Eagles is as bad as the results shows, and either the Swans are as good as the results shows. Although I think that Sydney is one of the best teams in the competition.
Mhm. Yeah, it's definitely. I'm curious to see is this West Coast not being still being down towards the bottom four, or was this just Sydney taking apart a team that just was not close when it comes to it? I'm fascinated to see how it goes. Again, this week's going to be, I think, a more of a litmus test on where the Swans sit. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Let's head back to the to the MCG where the shocker that even Apollo said was the one he could not get right because I don't think anybody saw this result. As the
Mhm.
Melbourne Demons get a 20-point win at home over the Gold Coast Suns, 109-89. I mean, D's Nation have to be absolutely up and about 3-1 under a first year coach after losing Petraka and Oliver both being moved off. Nobody saw this result coming.
And we were talking before the recording, and what is most fascinating is not just that the D's won the game, that no one believed it, not even the Melbourne fans, is how it happened.
Mhm.
They took the Suns and they played, you know, really well. Right? It wasn't a the fact that the Suns lost the game, that they couldn't score, that they weren't effective uh, despite domination. No, it was the D's got the Suns, and we are in the same level as you, and we're going to beat you, and they just did. It was a game that it was a practically flawless game from Melbourne, and that no one was expecting. If there was a team that is flattered by the scoreboard, is actually the Suns.
Mhm.
The team that wasn't kicking well uh, for goal was Melbourne. The advantage could be even higher. But the D's simply, like, it seemed that this game happened like 5, 6 years ago,
Mhm.
not 2026.
Yeah.
That
Yeah, no, that totally it totally makes sense. This was just not what we expected. I don't think anybody like the pure shock of everybody when this
It
result
was a
came
time
down.
machine, right? It
Yeah,
was like being in a time machine, right?
yep, yep,
This is a rerun or something, right?
yep.
This is live.
Yeah, or his old Go Coast peeking its head out from underneath the blankets that we didn't think was possible once Dema took over. It just was this was just such an unexpected thing. Again, Keziah Pickett is showing why he was worth the contract that he signed. It's incredible. Max Gawn is in incredible form. Again, his opportunity to be another All-Australian ruck is definitely starting off very, very well again. Long season, still plenty of games to go, but 3-1 from Melbourne to start the year under Coach King was not expecting it at all, especially not this result, a 20-point win against a very good Gold Coast side. So that's going to be a result. Will we look back on it? Does that affect Gold Coast as the season goes on for sure? We'll go to the game that I think everybody knew the
No,
result.
wait.
Go
There's
ahead, go ahead.
another point that I want to make on this game is that people complain that there is a advantage coming from the bye, right? And we said about the Sydney Eagles, the Suns were coming from the bye. The Melbourne had played in the week before, and right, and but it didn't make any effect. Right, Melbourne played the whole 80 minutes. If there was a team that seemed that it didn't have the legs, was Gold Coast, not Melbourne. So it's kind of another argument that maybe the buy is not as relevant as people think it is. But if it is, then Gold Coast made everything wrong during the break in
Mhm.
preparation for this game.
Yep, no, 100% on that. So we'll move to the game that I think this was probably the least surprising. Maybe the final result and the final tally is a little bit surprising when it comes to it because there was tons of talks that this game between the Western Bulldogs and Essendon at Marvel Stadium, there were people talking over a 100-point win. But Essendon fights back in the second half. I think the Western Bulldogs took their foot off the gas a little bit and only get a 34-point win, 99-65. And the Doggies undefeated 4-0, the only team with a zero in the loss column. The Doggies look really good, but a little scary considering Timmy English goes down and Ed Richards doesn't play, a late scratch before the game goes on, doggies may be 4-0, but a little bit of concern with a couple of big injuries that could really affect how they go going forward.
Yes, although depending on the length of the injuries, sometimes it's actually good, right? Because then the players are you're testing new players, you're preparing using the depth, and then the better players come, they are rested, and and the team get stronger as late in the season, right? And ready for finals. Sometimes, it's the there's good in this bad, right? You gave experience for your younger players, and you got your good players a bit of rest, so they are better in better shape later on in the season. So it can happen.
Mhm,
You gotta see that. Um, the I would like to say that Essendon showed at least heart.
mhm,
I think they are a very bad football team. Sorry, Bomber fans, but it's true. But they were lost, but they got from the halftime break and decided, we're going to at least, make this respectable, and they although it still was a huge win. 34 points is not a close game at all. But at least they were sweat and dirty by the end of the game, right? That they fought. You can
mhm.
At least you can say that they gave their all, and even if you were bad, if you gave your all, right, it's
Yep.
still a positive. I can get behind. As a sports fan, all my teams have good days and bad days. But in some bad teams, I was, fully behind because they knew they were bad, but they would go every game and gave them all despite losing. And you can only, be there for the guys, because that they are at least honoring the Guernsey,
Mhm,
the club history and stuff. And I think that this Bomber side, despite being bad, I think that they are at least there, giving 100%.
mhm,
That's you can't ask more than that, right? It's now it's a problem of getting the pieces to make this team good. But the heart is in the right place, right? It's
mhm.
just now it's for the front office to fix this.
Yeah, no, it's going to be interesting to see how this goes. I agree. I think there was a little bit of worry early in this game when the Western Bulldogs put up a big lead, but happy that we saw some fight out of this Essendon side, because it's been missing in a couple other games this season. So was happy to see that. So let's get to the coup d'état, the great the I cannot have enough great words for this as we end the Easter Monday game. Was an absolute classic, an absolute one of those ones I is definitely going to be in the running for game of the year at the end of the season, as the Hawks get a huge 1 point win over the Cats, 92-91, and a back and forth roller coaster, hugely emotional, absolutely fantastic game of football. Legitimately so much fun to watch this game. Paolo, how awesome was this game on Easter Monday? The two rivals, Hawthorn, Geelong, give us another instant classic.
No, it was a seesaw from beginning to end, right? It was amazing that no team could keep the advantage, right? they suddenly no, okay, it was your turn, now it's mine, and they would go back and forth with that um, with switching times of dominance from um, until I think that the last quarter, Hawthorne was better. They got advantage over Geelong there, but they couldn't score. Uh, but at three quarters of time, the game was basically equal, right? Hawthorne was what? Let's see, four behinds ahead, right? Yeah, it could be one, two goals up, right? But again, it wouldn't be a great advantage, right? At three quarter time, leading by three scores. Um, so the game was close anyway. Four behinds made it closer. So it was really exciting, and but it was something that you would expect Geelong more, from to get ahead on this type of games, but it wasn't. The Hawks uh, got there and got the advantage. It was a amazing game among the. They are among the most successful clubs lately in the past 20 years. Um, but the Hawks are more, with the highs and lows, and the Geelong, it seems that they're never bad, but ultimately the Hawks are, I think that they are better than Geelong right now, and the last part of the game show that even though Geelong were ahead for good part of the last quarter.
Mhm. Yeah, this was just absolute classic. Both teams had a chance to win it. Both teams had a chance to win it. Both teams had the lead late as well. Absolute classic and a great way to end the Easter round of footy. So let's jump to it, sir. We are done through this. Like I said, the buys are over. We get to the burning questions. And I know you and I had some fun pre-mic because we were discussing this particular topic. And I think this is fun because I could have went negative. I could have talked about how some of these teams are really not playing great football, but I want to go on positive in this situation. So I'm going to ask you, Paulo, which is the better story so far? I know we're only 4 games in, long season to go. Which is the better story? Melbourne being 3-1 or North Melbourne being 3-1?
As I've already told you, this question haunted me today because it was really hard to answer. I I started obviously north, and then I started thinking, and it wasn't as clear as I first thought.
Hmm.
And I thought, no, but you see, Melbourne, the way the off season happened, and they were supposed to be bad, right? North was, you could see North coming, well, maybe another step, and they did a bigger step than we were expecting, at least now in this first weeks. But Melbourne came out of nowhere. We're supposed to be struggling, right? It's like the first dance after the last dance, and they're not. Right? The team simply said, Petraka who, right? And we, it's totally irrelevant. Right? It seems that the new coach was able to bring some confidence to the squad, and and he found a way that suits that suits the players, right? So they understood what they were supposed to do, and they're executing well. So it's kind of. And so maybe right, this would be a better story than North, but then it's North, right? They were struggling, they were really bad. I made a comparison, right? That the closest I can think of is the Detroit Pistons.
Mhm.
That they were I'm a Pistons fan. They're really bad, like just 2 seasons ago, and the squad didn't change much. And now they are what they made the playoffs last season, and they gave the Knicks, like good scare, and now they are top of the East and playing against the best teams in the West, toe to toe. And they were supposed to be how they can be good. I saw
Mhm.
them playing badly just a few seasons ago, and I think that North is basically the same thing, right? We saw those guys, and they sucked, and now they're playing well. So it's kind of so I spent the whole day like this. What's the best story?
Mhm.
And I ultimately I couldn't answer it.
Yep. No, I'm 100% with you. I've sat on this as I wrote this question out when I was getting ready for this. I had the same dilemma because there was part of me that is like, well, it's North because I think we're so used to North always struggling even under Clarko. They
Mhm.
haven't had consistency. They'll have a great game and then they'll have four absolutely bad games. So they were never consistent. Melbourne's got some good pieces, and I think they really they accepted once they moved Petrarca and Oliver, they accepted that they were going to go younger. They were going to build off the Rivers, the Keziah Pickett's, the Colton Tholstrips, the younger brigade of young players. It's the results and who they've beaten, I think is more of the reason why you could argue for Melbourne. So it's like I'm with you. I don't think I can choose one because they each have their own reasons. Again, do I want to see this young North squad play much better than they have because of the doldrums that they have been in since the purge of the Petries and the Boomer Harveys? Absolutely. I want it for the North fans because they've been through several years of absolute trash football. So to see them up and about to win the Good Friday match and to get a win and to be 3-1 right now, currently in the finals in a final spot is insane for North Faithful to be able to be up and about. But there is part of me that it's like Coach King comes in. Did I expect them to have a great season? No. I think a lot of people expected Melbourne to be a bottom six side, to be a side that was really they're building for the future. And for them to be 3-1 after four games, also like North, be in a final spot, it just was unheard of. Nobody was expecting them to be here. Everybody was expecting them 1-3, maybe 2-2 best to start the season and to be a team that was perennial going to be a team that they're going to have some good games, but for the most part, it's going to be bad. So I'm 100% with you. I can't, it's like splitting hairs with these two. So I can't pick one because I think they're both great stories because it's North, you're starting to see Clarko click with this group. And for Melbourne, it's the shock factor of the first year coach that's having a ton of success and is bringing a high pressure, fun brand of football that I think a lot of people are really liking. And to see guys like Max Gawn and Jake Melksham in their latter stages of their career playing really good football is incredible for the competition. So I'm with you. I can't split the two. I think they're both combined a great story for the competition to be able to say that a couple of teams we were not expecting to be in finals contention currently are in finals contention. Again, a lot of football still left to play. So I'm hoping they can stay up there, but again, a lot of time still left to go. We're as we go on, then my next question, we're kind of jumping into this particular upcoming round, which I cannot wait for, and that is gather round. So I'm asking you as a Port Adelaide supporter and somebody that their team is in South Australia, I will ask this. Gather round has been fantastic since its inception. Each year it keeps getting better. So, as a footy fan, should gather round permanently stay in South Australia and in Adelaide, or should they look at potentially doing a 1 year spin-off to Perth or up to Queensland or to New South Wales and Sydney?
Um, I think that it's great that it's in South Australia. I think it's the game needs to be, you know, how can I say, de-victorialized,
Hmm.
and the gather round is a great step towards it. It's but someone, I don't know if permanently, but for a long time, I think that it should remain in South Australia because it was uh, I think that it was created by you know the government of South Australia and with in partnership with the AFL, right? And it worked amazingly. Um, it's also it's a the reminiscent of those old carnival footy carnivals
Hmm.
that existed, and so everybody goes to one, so the whole country goes to one place and celebrate football, and South Australia is um, so there are three main football states, right? So West, South, and Australia, and Victoria, and get around acknowledge South Australia at least. Um, I think that maybe there could be two get arounds.
Hmm.
So one early in the season, the other one late in the season, and you do the second one in Perth. It would be a right. I think that it would be an issue if you do like those 3 months apart, right? Maybe there are space for that, right? Well, you could get, you know, if there are, schedule for doing that. I don't know, so it wouldn't need a study and stuff. But I think that for now, I think that it should remain in South Australia.
Hmm.
I
Yeah, I'm one of those. I really can see South Australia getting this. I know I'm not going to say permanent because you just never know when something's going to happen, but I think the South Australian government is really going to push for this to be a long-term deal, like a 10 to 12 year contract with the AFL because it keeps growing. It keeps getting better. The addition of the Barossa Valley games, which I think are absolutely fantastic. Norwood has been quite the great addition to it. It'd be interesting to see do they expand out to any more grounds in South Australia besides the Adelaide Oval, the Barossa Valley, and Norwood. Again, we'll really have to see. I love it there. I think if you can kind of give it its niche, which I think they've really done really well for that, I think it will work to be a permanent thing, especially if they're still trying to do the opening round with the northern teams. I think there's going to be some revamps to it after this last year and a lot of fan base uproar about it. I think it's going to be round one next year and it's going to be northern state based, which then gives you a northern situation. Victoria's got its situation. You've got Adelaide with gather round. It's just figuring out can we get a niche thing in the competition for Western Australia, and then I think you're kind of balancing everything out. We'll have to see how it goes, but I truly do think I think the South Australian government really wants to get a long-term contract, like a 10-year, 12-year deal to keep gather around there for a long period of time to see is this going to be sustainable, which by all the numbers and everything that I'm hearing from it sounds like it's doing to the point where I think the AFL has a lot of arguments to keep it there permanently, a lot like Brisbane and Magic Round when it comes to the NRL, is having that one place where everything is. I think it's been magnificent. I cannot say that any particular gather round has been bad. I think each year has been getting better and better. And this year, some of the games that you've got, a little disappointed that the Sydney Gold Coast game is at Norwood and not at the Adelaide Oval. So I think that one they kind of missed a trick there, but maybe they were just anticipating not as many people want to see Gold Coast, even though I think a lot of people kind of expected Gold Coast to be good this year. So that's the one miss that I see in this year's lineup is Sydney Gold Coast potentially a grand final potential matchup at Norwood Oval. And again, no disrespect to Norwood Oval, but not having the ability to have that at the bigger ground is might be the one and only miss that the AFL has when it comes to gather round, but we'll have to see. So,
Oh,
and then,
they'll have 5 games in Adelaide Oval, right?
yep,
It's you gotta choose, you gotta
yep.
pick five. Yeah,
Yep,
it's
and the and this is just it's just the way things kind of played out. But again, I just find it interesting that you could have two teams that could be in the top four, and they're playing a game against each other at Norwood Oval. Again, no disrespect to Norwood Oval, there's tons of history there. I'm excited to see how that goes because it's a skinny ground. So seeing Sydney's run off halfback and Gold Coast's ability to do it, it's going to be a fun game. I cannot wait for that one. I think it's going to be a magnificent game on Norwood Oval, but it's going to be fascinating that that one is not at the Adelaide Oval.
the only thing that I would say I add is that I would prefer to see more games in different grounds.
Hmm.
Okay, there are 5 in the Adelaide Oval. Okay, I got that. But you have 4, right? Other 4. And you're doing 2 and 2, 2 in Norwood and 2 in Bursa
Yeah.
Valley. I don't know. Does there aren't other grounds in other ovals in the country to so people can can go and know other parts of South Australia, and other grounds in Adelaide. Those that can be used besides Norwood. I know Norwood Oval is a classic, is old. It was used for important matches before, but yes, NFL has over 8 clubs. There could be good grounds to explore besides Norwood. So it's kind of, yeah, I would love to see other grounds being used, but it would be that,
Hmm.
right? But that's me. I sincerely don't know. That's
Yeah,
that.
my worry if you expand to a fourth ground, which I mean would be great. There's some grounds I just don't know if you're going to get as many people in them. I mean, you've got a few there with some of the Sanford clubs. You've got the grounds for several of the Sanford clubs, but whether they have the infrastructure to be able to handle large crowds, that's the
Yeah,
question.
yeah, that's what I
Um,
don't know.
yeah, I just that would be the one and only issue that I would see. Norwood can because Norwood's got the huge stands, and I know that they've already had AFLW matches there, and they've had that's there. The Barassa built it up. They had a year to build it up, so they put in a lot of stands for that particular one. So I think that's the issue that I think is the reason why I'm not sure if they're going to try to do a fourth ground is because they would then have to maybe add more stands to some of the sample grounds. I'm not sure if they want to do that. So that would be the biggest thing on that. But I agree with you. I mean, it'd be great to a few less games on Adelaide Oval to spread it out amongst Adelaide, but it's the structure, it's the fan accessibility would be the biggest question that I would have on that. I'd have to dive into what the capacity is for like Unley Oval, the Mohegan Oval where Woodville West Torrance plays, the ground that Central Districts plays. I'm totally,
Yes,
absolutely losing it
yeah,
right now. What the
as
name is?
Alberton that
Yeah,
Westlakes are moving there.
yeah.
So it would be an
I
offer,
mean,
but I think that
potentially you could play it where Adelaide is building its new facility because I know that it sounds like the AFLW is going to be playing there eventually. They're going to go away from Norwood to there, but what's the capacity going to be? And again, that's not till 2027 at the earliest.
yes.
So yeah, so there's still a few things to bounce off on that. So, speaking of South Australia, as you as a Power fan, I always like to end my burning questions with a question for you to be able to talk about your beloved club. So, I'll ask, as the Power fan that you are, what are your thoughts so far on the Power this year? Again, kind of up and down, a few losses you maybe probably weren't expecting. So, thoughts on the Power so far?
Oh, well, Heart says disappointing, but Head says to Heart, "I told you so." Something like that. It's um, it's kind of disappointing because we were always expecting the best case scenario, right? So if things click and stuff, but the point is that um, our list is not as good as we thought it is, and the way Carr works, although he was in the system for a few years, he's changing a lot, right? It's the difference between, working for the boss and now becoming the boss, right?
Mhm.
I would do things that I disagree because that's what the boss wanted me to do. And now that he's not here anymore, we're going to do this differently. We're going to do this my way. And the players are struggling to adjust. So I think that they aren't as good as we expected. I think that we still have a leadership problem that has been haunting the club for ages. That's why the team, started to melt down in close games or in important games because the leadership's not there. Um, so we need players that are there. I believe that there are players like that, but not enough to make a difference, right? So I think that yeah, we need players that that uh, thrive when things are getting bad or hard. And I think that it happens the other way around, and it's a problem that has been there in the club for ages, and it's going to take a lot of time to to fix. So it's kind of so there are many so we have a new way of playing, a new approach to do things. We have the I think that the list has a lot of holes, and there's also this leadership issue. So there are plenty of problems that now we can see all of them happening at once, and it's not a good sign. I think that we're going to struggle a lot this season, but I'm not desperate because I think that it's year zero. I think that it's a learning experience even for Carr because he couldn't know how the players would respond to his way of playing, his approach. Right? He knows the players, but not in the context now. So he's making tests. So he's shifting players all around. He really used the those first few games as a as I think it is like an extended preseason, like preseason for premiership points. And the result is that the team, was all over the place. So it played badly one game, then better the other, and because those tests were coming, it's a learning process, and I think that we're going to see, you know, more consistency later on in the season when this the learning process begin to diminish, right? And start to you start to get conclusions and put those conclusions on the field.
Yep. No, 100%. So it is going to be very fascinating to keep an eye on this Port Adelaide side. Again, it would be fascinating. So that is it for burning questions. Let's jump to one of the more interesting parts about what I do here, and that is team of the week. I always have some fun with this because again, I do it a little bit differently than some. So there's always a few different names. So Paulo, I'm going to jump right through this really, really quickly. We start on the full back line. We start with Carlton's Nick Newman. Port Adelaide's Alir gets a run as our fullback, and Melbourne's Christian Salem will round out the fullback line. Along the halfback line, we have Dane Zorko of the Brisbane Lions, Liam Baker of the West Coast Eagles, and Sydney's Nick Blakey round out the halfback line. Along the wings, we have Jake Lloyd of the Sydney Swans, Port Adelaide's Jason Horn Francis will round out on the wing positions. Through the center, we have Isaac Heaney of the Sydney Swans, Chad Warner of the Sydney Swans, and Adelaide's Jordan Dawson through the center. In the ruck, we have Brody Grundy from the Sydney Swans. Along the half forward line, we have Brisbane's Kai Lohman, Geelong's Shannon Neal, and Melbourne's Jake Melcham round out the half forward line. The full forward line sees Dan McStay of the Collingwood Magpies, Charlie Curnow of the Sydney Swans, and Brisbane's Logan Morris rounding out the starters. Along the bench, we have my defender is Gold Coast Will Powell. My ruck is Melbourne's Max Gawn. My midfielder is North Zane Dursma. My forward is Sam Darcy of the Western Bulldogs. And my utility this year is Will Ashcroft of the Brisbane Lions. I know a lot of names really quickly. I know a lot of people are like, Coach, oh my God, so many Sydney guys. Well, when you put up a lot of points, and as I said, you kick a lot of goals, you tend to go into there. So it wasn't a bias thing here, people. That's just the way the numbers fell out. So
Just
thoughts
a
on
little
team of the week.
bit.
I'm sorry. I know. So I'm going to get a few people that are going to be absolutely on me on this one.
Um, a really interesting team. I thought I was expecting more players from Melbourne and from uh, Hawthorn. I can't tell you which, right? Because I'm a forest guy, not a tree guy.
Hmm.
Um, so I see the teams. I even told a friend I was watching Port game and I realized I don't know our guys anymore.
Hmm.
I'm not sure even who's playing for Port. Imagine the other clubs. But overall, like the way the games were played, I thought that I was expecting some Hawthorn, more Hawthorn and Melbourne guys, and I was really surprised with West Coast Eagle in the defense after what happened.
Well,
In, in
it's the goal kicking.
Last week.
Liam Baker shifted forward off the halfback line, kicked a goal. It's again, it's one of those where defenders kicking a goal makes a different impact. It's not always about the statistics or how defensively, like with Lear had 18 intercept possessions in that one, that really boosted him because it's one of the few fullbacks that really had a massive amount of defensive intercept marks. I know Cal Wilkie was somebody I had last round. So I kind of threw in the fact that there's a lot of halfback flankers and a lot of halfbacks that kind of made the roster purely on the fact that they're getting forward and kicking goals. So it's kind of one of those where sometimes my metrics is the reason that the way it does the way it does. Again, it's the reason why so many Sydney. I mean, Isaac Heaney kicks 4 goals. Chad Warner kicks 2 goals and had 25 possessions. Grundy kicks a goal in that one and has a lot. I know some people was like, well, Coach Mark Pitnet kicked 2 goals in the Rock. We only had 11 possessions in the game and really didn't make a huge impact. That's one of those. If you have a certain amount of possession or disposals, not possessions, less. Sometimes I take away a little bit on that. Just kind of depends on that. Again, it's the metrics. It's really weird. And I know, like I said, I'm gonna take a little bit of stick with all the Sydney guys. I know it for sure, but it happens. So, but it's always fun. The team of the week sometimes can be quite the interesting discussion point, and I always appreciate a good solid footy discussion on that. So I know we're still we're getting closer again with gather round being so close to it. Let's hop in. Let's tip our gather round. I cannot wait for this. This is going to be fun. We'll start off Thursday night footy, Adelaide Oval, Adelaide Crows, Carlton Blues. Who do you like in this one?
Blues, obviously. Uh,
I love it.
I'm,
Uh,
there are two things that I always do. I always tip Port and the team plays against uh, the Crows. I think that this season, just like last season, is going to ruin my tipping. This rule, but I cannot get rid of it. So I'll stick with there are people I saw on Big Foodie, Carlton fans saying we're going to be destroyed because Voss is not a good coach. It doesn't. It's not working. And I said, "Did you guys know who's coaching? Well, Westlake, right?" So it comes from the Hinkley tree. Both coaches. Um, it's going to be close. I'm picking Carlton. I think Carlton will lose, but I'll still pick Carlton. But I think that the game will be close up to the fourth quarter, and then the Blues will do blue things and lose the game. But if the Crows do Crow things, they will miss the opportunity to win the game, and then so it could be a ripper for all the wrong reasons. So it should be an exciting game for all the issues that so both teams trying to lose badly and we get a close game. But I really hope that the Blues can be the surprise of the week.
As much as I love your optimism on that, I'm going to tip the Crows in this one. The Blues fade outs. The potential to not have Will Hayward, I think, really hurts them. The Crows gonna be up and about for this one because of how hard some of these losses have been. I think Stevie Nicks is starting to kind of get his figured out until he can get some of these troops back, which I think he's starting to get some of his injured players back very soon. I like the Crows in this one just because I just can't trust the Blues in the fourth quarter, and I think that's very frustrating. The one I love the loyalty to Port Adelaide, but I can't tip against Adelaide in this one on that. I think what could be a fascinating Friday night footy match. I think this could be an incredible game. Collingwood v Fremantle, Adelaide Oval on this one. I will start with this. I'm tipping the Dockers in this one. I worry Nick Dacos will miss another game. I don't know if Collingwood wants to risk another injury and losing Nick for a longer period of time. I give him a break in this week. I know it's tough to do that, but do you really want to play a physical Dockers team through the midfield with a guy that has had a little bit of a dodgy calf muscle? I don't like it. I'm going to tip the Dockers in this one. I just don't like the mojo right now in the Collingwood camp. I worry that they're going to risk Dacos because they're not playing well right now and they kind of need him on the field. I don't think they're going to make a smart decision in this. I like the Dockers in this one. You?
Well, the Pies are probably the most difficult team to predict um, so far. Yeah, you know that they are capable of playing well, but they are also capable of playing badly. And I have no idea which Collingwood will, appear. Um, but I think that I will agree with you that Fremantle is playing, you know, better right now. It's and they are up and about, even though they're frail. And the Dockers love to do, frail things. But I think that I will agree with the odds. I think it's 150 to 260. So people are betting more on Freel than in Collingwood, and I think that they like the wisdom of the masses here is on full display. I think that ultimately the odds are that the Dockers will win this game, and not Collingwood.
Yeah, it's gonna be a fun one. This I think could be a sneakily close good game up at the Barassa as North Melbourne hosts the Brisbane Lions. Fascinating one. Who do you like in this one?
Um, even though North is improving, I think that you know Brisbane is still the team to lose the the premiership, right? The title. I think that the Lions are favorites for a three-peat, right? They won the last two, right?
Mhm.
And they haven't given any sign that they are slowing down. Um, so this, like they are, they lost a couple of games, but they are playing. yeah, you can see like the team underneath the results that they will come and it's stronger, and I think that they will show up in Barossa, the Lions that we know, and they will beat North. I'll be surprised if North.
Mhm. Yeah, I'm gonna tip Brisbane on this. I'm with you on that. I think Brisbane just a little bit too much experience. I hope that this is not like Sydney versus West Coast and that Brisbane rolls over North. I really want this to be a competitive game, hopefully showing that North is maybe finding that groove and finally starting to step up their way up the ladder and maybe compete for a final spot later on this year. I really hope this is a competitive game. I just don't want this to be another West Coast v Sydney where Brisbane just absolutely roll over North and you start to see the gap between the haves and the have-nots grow. So I'm really hoping North makes this a competitive game. I really hope so. I worry it couldn't be, but I'm going to tip Brisbane on this, but hoping North make this a competitive game. A sneaky, interesting one at Adelaide Oval as the Essendon Bombers take on the Melbourne Demons. I'm going to tip the D's in this one, but this is another one that I'm looking at it going, could the D's be so up and about that they take this Essendon Bombers team lightly?
Weird to see this game in Adelaide Oval. I think this is just because the Essendon has a lot of support. But yeah, yeah. If I, seeing the games that are here, I wouldn't put that as one of the Adelaide Oval games. Um, I think Melbourne will run over Essendon, as we were talking about before, right? Essendon is just not a great team yet, and Melbourne seems to have found its mojo early this season, and I think that this will be the difference. I don't expect to be even close. It could be close-ish, but not something that Melbourne will be in any danger of losing it.
Yeah, D should win this one. I just like I said, this is the proverbial trap game for a Melbourne side. This is a proverbial trap game. Too much confidence coming off a big win over Gold Coast. You take an Essendon side lightly, tipping D's. But this one, if I'm the D's, I'm terrified. Do not take this Essendon team lightly. Do not do that. That could be a massive disaster. Norwood Oval, as I said, Sydney, Gold Coast, a fascinating one here. I'm going to do as I usually do. I'm going to set myself up for a win-win situation. I'm going to tip Gold Coast in this one. Gold Coast is going to be angry off this Melbourne Demons loss. A skinnier ground, I think, hurts Sydney's handball game because it's going to condense the field. It's going to bring defenders closer. It's going to make much harder to hit that handball game. Gold Coast has had a chance to see it. I like the Suns in this one. I don't, again, as a Swan supporter, people are like, what are you doing, coach? I can tip against my team, but I do it only because I live in reality. I pay attention to these games. This is a danger game. Jared Witz, can he body up Brody Grundy? Can Grundy get along on the field? The midfield battle is going to be insane. Anderson, Rowell, Miller, Heaney, Warner. Holy shnikey, some star power in this midfield. This is going to be an insane game. I'm tipping the Suns, hoping the Swans shock me.
Okay, first of all, interesting take that you did because I've always thought that the handball um, is better suited for tiny spaces because when it's really you don't have space to kick the ball, right? So
Mhm.
it's tiny, it's fast handballs trying to get out of congestion and then kicking
Yep.
it.
Yep.
So maybe it's going to be an advantage instead of a disadvantage for this for Sydney. If of course it's easier said than done, right? You
Mhm.
still need to execute it perfectly. And it's not easy with the pressure, but to be able to get rid of the pressure, passing the ball quickly
Mhm.
with handballs, I think that it's way better than just kicking the ball and hoping for the best.
Mhm.
Um, And this game, it's going to be really interesting to see how the Sun is able to uh, that's my Portuguese mind. The Suns is because it's the club, right? It's not
Hmm.
the nickname, so it's go singular. Uh, is capable of um, rebounding after a loss like they had in the MCG. I don't know what happened there. If they felt the ground, even though the attendance wasn't big, or we're still playing in the MCG, and it comes with a weight, right? And probably the Suns felt that. And they could now in now they're playing in Sydney. It's one of the top teams of the competition. It's the gather round. They come from a loss, and I would like to see if they have uh, this ability to rebound um, from what happened on Sunday, and I'm suspicious that they don't. But
Hmm.
again, I expect this to be the, if not the best game of the round, at least top two or three.
Yeah. Yep.
It's going to be right there. It's supposed to be close and really interesting.
Yep. 100%
I
with.
didn't pick anyone. I'll pick Sydney. Okay.
It's gonna be a fun one. No, I cannot wait for that game. That one's gonna be a fun one. And then the one right after it could be just as good, if not even better. Adelaide Oval, Hawthorn v the Western Bulldogs in this one. Absolute cracking game on this one. Who do you like in this one?
Oof, oof. Probably the you know um hottest teams right now, with Sydney right behind. It's Yeah, this is going to be hard. You know, Hart is asking for to pick the Bulldogs, but heads towards Hawks. Complicated one. I'll pick the Dogs.
I'm going to tip Western Bulldogs in this one just because they're playing so well. The only thing that concerns me is Timmy English being out. That one hurts because especially the Adelaide Oval, sometimes winning it out of the center is huge for this. So I'm going to tip the doggies in this one, but the loss of Timmy English really hurts, really, really hurts. So it'll be fascinating to see how does Sam Darcy go through the center? Do they have another backup? Does Rory Lobb go through the middle? It'll be fascinating to see what Bevo does for the doggies and this one, tipping the dogs, but this could be
Yeah,
a
the Dogs.
quite go ahead.
They have an extra day of rest, right? It could be an advantage.
Yep. Yep.
We'll
That'll
see.
help too. Yep. Yep. So it'll be fascinating on that one. We'll jump to it. Norwood Oval sees Geelong take on the West Coast Eagles. And this is the Cats for me. Unfortunately, I think West Coast got brought back to earth a little bit. Could this be a chance to bounce back? Maybe, but this is the worst possible opponent you face. You face a very good Cats team that always seem to play really, really well when they need to. I got the Cats in this one.
Yep,
Yep.
we are seeing a Cats coming from yeah, uh, three close games with two wins and one loss. So they won at home against Freo and West Lakes, and lost it in the MCG against the Hawks. So I said Collingwood is a um, one of the, if not the most difficult team to predict. I believe that the a close second is Geelong, right?
Mhm.
The Cats seems to be playing on the level of their opposition and making the games close regardless of who who they're playing. And I Opa? I have no idea whether what's going to which Geelong will appear. They have an advantage. Norwood Oval is a narrow field, just like the Cardinia. So they're probably certainly more used to this kind of field dimension than West Coast. West Coast, yeah, but again, the West Coast will come like ashamed of what happened, and they will try to rebound. It could be interesting.
Hmm.
Um, uh, um, hard. I'll pick the Eagles just for the sake of picking the like to win alone without sharing with other people, right?
Hmm.
I'm gonna be the only one picking the Eagles this weekend.
You never know. I've seen crazy. You're gonna tip the cats for me, but you never know. Maybe that punch in the mouth by Sydney gets West Coast, and maybe gets
Mhm.
West Coast up and about. So I don't think it's as big a stretch, especially with some of the inconsistencies that Geelong has had early in the year. Let's go up to the Barossa. Another fascinating one here. GWS v Richmond up in the Barossa Valley. I like the Giants in this one again. Richmond, too many injuries, too many inconsistencies. The Giants, a team that sometimes they can have their day out. I think they have a day out against Richmond on this one. I like GWS, and I like GWS big.
Me too. Um, Although the Giants is probably the biggest disappointment at the beginning of the season, at least for me. Um, yeah, they weren't supposed to be at the top, but I think that they weren't supposed to be at the bottom either, and that's where they are. But I think that they are way better than their ladder position, and Richmond is probably where it should be. So I think that the Giants will show this difference in hierarchy and win the game.
Oh, so, all right, let's jump to it. Last one, Adelaide Oval. Your beloved Port Adelaide Power take on St. Kilda. A tough test at home on this one. I will let you go first since this is your club, sir. Port Adelaide, head versus heart. Power, Saints. Who do you like?
Uh, they love to play close games, those two, when they play against each other. Probably this one is going to be close too. I think the Saints, although they are, you know, below Port on the ladder, they arrive a bit better. For their moments, the coach has been there for a while already. It's building the list. They have um, good players on the team. But I think that ultimately the home ground will make the difference, and Port will win a close one. But I think that the home field advantage will be an advantage.
I'm with you on this one. I think Port at home against St. Kilda, there's too much inconsistency for me. I'm not super confident in them. Hometown starting to get some confidence into Port Adelaide. I think I'm with you on that one. The Rosie injury concerns me just the tiniest bit, but I like Port Adelaide, and I like Port Adelaide in this one for to end being the hometown team on that. So, well, Paolo, that is it. That is all my questions. We've gone through everything. I always a fun chat with you, sir. Always entertaining to catch up with another international fan. I know that I have several that I love talking with, and you are one of them. So thank you so much for hopping on the podcast. It is great to catch up and to talk footy with you.
It's always a pleasure, and as I've told you before, I'm always available. You can invite me anytime. It's a great pleasure to be with you and having the opportunity to talk about footy. What a great game that the Aussies have invented. Right?
Hmm 100%, sir. 100%. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do it for this episode of Donnie's Disposals. Again, keep an eye out. More footy coverage coming. We've got some state shows to come up very, very soon as we have gotten through several weeks of footy on that. Again, gather round coming up. Cannot wait to catch up on that. Absolutely fantastic. The footy is progressing more and more. So, I'm going to be on talking this amazing game that is Australia Rules football. So that's going to do it for this episode of Donnie's Disposals, and we'll be back with more footy coverage very, very soon.